not only is it possible that you can live your dream, is it necessary that you call forth your team and surround yourself with people that you can learn from and grow from, that you must work on yourself and monitor yourself and train yourself, that you've got to begin to take total responsibility for the outcomes that you want to produce in your life. But let us say together with power and conviction, it's hard. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, living a dream, changing your life, is hard. It's hard when you lose all your money, when you've given it the best that you have, when you have some major setback. It's hard. When a doctor looked at me and said the three horrible words no one wants to hear, you have cancer. It was hard to mobilize my mind and spirit, to listen to tapes and music and read scripture and be around other people and seeking out other prostate cancer conquerors to believe that I could do this. It was hard. Never forget, my son said, "Daddy, are you going to die?" "Why are you asking me that?" "You're not going out much. You're not the bubbly personality that I know you to be. You're not talking much. You're spending a lot of time in the room by yourself, Dad. Are you going to surrender? Are you giving up? Are you going to let that doctor's opinion become your reality? Will my daddy see me graduate?" Yes, son, yes. I'm going to fight. No, I don't think it's my time yet. I'm going to see you graduate, but more than that, I've got some other things that I'm going to do with my life. And I thank you for asking me that. But I must tell you that I'm scared. I'm scared. And I've never been in this situation before. It's been easy for me to talk to people and encourage people when they've had challenges in their lives. But it's me. And I don't feel less than a man in admitting this to you. Yes, I'm scared. And I need some help. Repeat after me, please. Ask for help. Not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. And ask for help. And don't stop until you get it. Yes, see, life is hard, and there are some moments in life when you're going to need some help. You're going to need somebody to speak to you. You're going to need somebody to say something to you. I have a friend of mine, Willie Jolly, who's a motivational speaker. He said, "A setback is a setup for a comeback." I had to listen to Willie's tapes. I have another friend, Kevin Brace, who's a speaker. He said, "Les, come on, man, you can do this. You can make this happen. You can hit a home run. It's a done deal. You are Les Brown. That cancer's got to get out of your body." I said, "Talk to me, Kevin. Talk to me." That's what I need to hear. I needed to hear those words. I don't care who you are. Many people won't allow themselves to ask for help because of pride. Pride cometh before a fall. Because of ego. Ego means edging God out. No, ask for help. Not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. And ask for help and don't stop until you get it. I'm here because a lot of people helped me. I'm here because a lot of people believed in me at a time when I was struggling to believe in myself. The other thing is, let us say together, it's worth it. Yeah, see, I think, and write this down, you got to find 5 reasons that will make it worth it for you. 5 reasons. What will make it worth it for you? Mine was, I want to take care of my mother. Mine was, I want to do something with my life. What will make it worth it for you? Mine is, I want to leave a legacy. Mine is, I refuse to die an unlived life. What will make it worth it for you? Repeat after me, please. You got to be hungry. Mr. Washington said, "Mr. Brown, what do you want to do with your life?" I said, "Sir, I want to become a disc jockey." "Is that right?" "Yes, sir." "Good." "Mr. Brown, you got to be hungry." He said, "I want you to listen to Paul Harvey. He's the world's greatest communicator. Always find a coach or mentor, someone that's doing what it is you want to do. Watch them. Listen to how he does the rest of the story. Listen to his voice. Mr. Brown, develop your mind and develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, young man, you tell the world who you are. And don't forget, Mr. Brown, you got to be hungry. Take the time to develop yourself." So I started training and working on myself. Then pretty soon I came to him. I said, "Sir, I've been working on myself. I've done the things that you told me to do. I listen to Earl Nightingale all the time and Zig, and I've been reading Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's book, and I'm ready. I practice every day 2 and 3 hours, sir. Is that right?" "Yes, sir." Very good, Mr. Brown. You got to be hungry. I said, why do you continue to say that? So people that are hungry are unstoppable, Mr. Brown. People that are hungry, no excuse is acceptable. Go out and face the music, young man. And don't forget, stay hungry and know your vitamin. I went to apply for a job on Miami Beach. Milton Butterball Smith was the program director. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. He said, young man, you having journalism in your background? No, sir, I don't. You have any experience in broadcasting? No, sir, I don't. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any job for you. I went back and I told Mr. Washington. I was devastated. I said, Mr. Washington. They said, no, they wouldn't even allow me to audition for them, sir. Mr. Brown, don't take it personally. I told you, know your vitamin. Most people are so negative, they have to say no 7 times before they say yes. Be unstoppable, Mr. Brown. You got to be hungry. Go back again. Yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. Young man, weren't you here yesterday? Yes, sir, I was. Didn't I tell you no yesterday? Yes, sir, you did. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not somebody was laid off or somebody was fired, sir. Nobody was laid off or fired. Now get on out of here. I came back the next day. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. I know what your name is. Weren't you here the last 2 days? Yes, sir, I was. Didn't I tell you no the last 2 days? Yes, sir, you did. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not someone got sick because someone died, sir. No one got sick or died. No one was laid off or fired. Now, don't you come back here again. I came back the next day talking loud, looking happy like I see you for the first time. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you? He looked at me with rage. He said, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. So I became the errand boy for the disc jockeys. I'd go get their lunch and their dinner, and I'd stand in the control room, memorizing their hand movements on the control board and all the instruments, learning everything that I could because I expected to be behind that microphone. Then one day, it was a Saturday afternoon, and a disc jockey by the name of Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. Rockin' Roger got so drunk, he started slurring his words. He was about to fall off the chair. He obviously could not complete his program. And there I was, looking at him through the control room window. A Saturday afternoon, I was the only one there, young, ready, and hungry. Walking back and forth saying, drink, rock, drink. Drink, rock. I'd have gone and get him some more if he'd asked me to. Then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager, and I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, you must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra, and said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn up the radio. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and segue the records, but don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get old Rock out of the way. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LB, Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, doubly qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry.
So this first question goes to Mr. Les Brown, and then we're going to throw it to Mr. Matt Sapala. Mr. Brown, you've had to overcome so many different challenges in your life as a father, a husband, someone who's gone through divorce, someone who's lost their job, someone who's faced so many obstacles, and you could have easily given in to excuses. You could have easily bought into all of the self-imposed limiting talk that so many people find themselves up against. Where did you get the will to? I hear you talk about willingness. Where did you get the will to continue to overcome, stay focused on your dreams and your goals, and to make things happen for those that are listening that are in that place right now?
I'm so glad you asked that question. One of my favorite books is Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. And he said, he was in the Nazi German concentration camps. He said the Jews that survived the inexpressible cruelties of Nazism had some power greater than themselves that they believed in, or some movement that they bought into, or some family member that they were determined to see again. And what it boiled down to, he said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. If you got a reason that drives you. My reason was I had made a commitment. I was going to buy my mother a home. And nothing was going to turn me around. I was going to make that happen. That was not some wish. My brothers and sisters, they didn't share it. They thought I was crazy. But that became my reason for being. I faced a lot of rejections. And I just saw it as a part of the process, that you have to roll with the punches. Because I was in this place with Paul Robeson, who said, "Here I stand, for I can do no other." And I was determined that I was going to find a way through speaking to earn enough money that I'd be available to my mother to take care of her, who was suffering from breast cancer. I promised her when I was a kid, I said, "You'll never go into a nursing home." She used to work in nursing homes, and she always said she never wanted to go into a nursing home. I said, "I promise you, that will not be your destiny." And when my sister called me and said, "Leslie, are you sitting down?" I asked, "What's wrong with Mama?" I just got reelected to the Ohio legislature, and they had appointed me to the chairmanship of the Education Committee and the Human Resource Committee. And she said, "Mama has breast cancer." I said, "I'll be there tomorrow." She said, "But you just got elected." I said, "Listen to me. I enjoy politics, but I love Mama, and I promised her I'll be there." And she said, "Leslie, they have a lot of good nursing homes in Dade County." I said, "Please, don't touch her. I'll be there tomorrow." I caught a plane the next morning, and I never forget ringing the doorbell. And a friend of hers, her name is Mildred, was there. And she came to the door and she said, "Oh my God, Mamie, Leslie's here." And I could hear my mother say, "I knew he would come." I knew he would come. Mildred, unpacked those boxes. He's here. I knew he would come. You have to have something that drives you when others give up and surrender and throw in the towel. Something that can cause you to reach a place within yourself where you say, "I don't feel nowhere as tired. I'm gonna get it done." That makes you unstoppable. I was there. I took care of her until she left here. Brought her home. Got to find something that pulls you into the future. It's a stand that you decide to take with your life.
And Matt Zapala, like Mr. Brown, you went through some challenges. You've been very transparent, talking about being a husband, a father, and then a single father within a very short period of time. And many people that are dealing with children will often use the children as an excuse as to why they can't get things done and do the work that's required to provide. So you coming from the military, not having any experience with generating significant life-changing income, where did you get the will to to say, yes, I'm going to get this done, even though I have kids that I'm responsible for as a single parent? I got to figure it out. Where's that will to come from?
Came from my parents. Came from my parents immigrating here from the Philippines, and just hearing stories about what it took for my mother to get her first job as a nurse at a hospital, $600 a month as a nurse. And then my father coming here because he was a tour guide in the Philippines, and he just basically sold himself on a free airplane ride in America and get himself into Indiana University. And I thought to myself that every generation has this great decision. And I felt my decision said, you know what? I've got this gift of entrepreneurship. We got this gift of an insurance license. I have no college degree. I have no other alternatives. And I get these 3 miles looking at me, and they're looking for me to come home and provide a home and activities and cheerleading and martial arts and all that, football and all this stuff that any other kid would want to enjoy. But I knew I couldn't depend on anybody else, because as a single father, I had to do all that. I had to put myself in a position where I had no other options but to. Because what was my alternative? My alternative was to have the other party in the life and not have control or the access that I'm able to provide myself, having to divvy up decisions. And as a single parent, you have to make those decisions twice, 3 times as hard, because there is no other financial assistance from the other side. I mean, I was one of those weird single fathers where I actually had custody of my kids. And if I'm looking at them and they're expecting everything from me and they didn't expect to be here, my decision with them was, listen, you don't owe me anything, I owe you everything. At least at the very extent of showing you an example of what to do during tough times and showing you and giving you a work ethic. And so when I'm looking at this and I decided to put a flag in the ground, I want to be able to say, I want my kids to say, you know what, I may not agree with everything that Daddy did, but man, I respect him. I respect his hustle, I respect the grind, and I found that the older they've become, the smarter I've become to them. And so we may not have times when they were teenagers or in their late teens and early 20s, but now as it's starting to get older, now they're starting understanding the perspective of where I came from. So that was the future self I was talking about. What would these kids say? They may not agree with me, but man, my dad is somebody I want to follow. His footsteps may not be necessarily, or his career may not be the career, but man, I want to follow the way he went about business, the way he went about making decisions in his life. And I want to be able to them to say, my daddy gave me a great last name. Now it's up for me not to screw it up.
Where do we go to get that energy we need and that to keep our focus and to keep our drive?
Whenever you're moving from one level to the other and you have to reinvent yourself, the adjustment, it's very, very difficult, it's very, very challenging. And I think that you need to begin to remind yourself of your why. You know, Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, if you know why you're doing something, it will empower you to endure anything that you're going through. When you're working in corporations, you're working in financial services, it's a very competitive area. It's very, very dynamic. This is the era that Peter Drucker calls the era of the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. And so people are tensed and very, very stressed out. So how do you deal with that? And knowing why you do what it is that you do. The name of the game right now is perceptual and psychological. It's the mental adjustments that we must make in the midst of the difficulties. That's what leaders do. Leaders don't panic. They're not intimidated by the change. They're not intimidated by the difficulties. What they are empowered by it. I remember reading something that says, not what you don't have is what you think you need that keeps you from handling the difficulties and the challenges of life. And we have everything we need within us to face and to deal with whatever we have at hand, because we're more powerful than anything that we're up against.
Now, these mental adjustments and this idea that I've got what I need, I mean, in some ways that represents who I am.
For many years, I was living a life that I was not designed to do. I'm designed to speak. That's what I do. But for 42 years, I'm 62 now, for 42 years, I was doing something I wasn't designed to do, because when I looked at what I wanted to do, that was to speak, to train, to empower people, that my inner conversation to myself was, Les Brown, you can't do that. You were labeled educable mental retarded in the 5th grade. You have no college training. You were born in an abandoned building on a floor. You don't even know your birth parents. You can't do that. You are DT. You were called the dumb twin. Those words became my reality for many years. And then someone came along and interrupted that conversation in my head and said, Mr. Brown, they tell me you're about to drop out of school.
And I said, well, yes. Why? I can't, I'm not smart like my brother. And I'll never forget when we first met, I was in his class waiting on another student, and he came in and said, young man, go to this board and work this problem out for me. I said, sir, I can't do that. I'm not one of your students. He said, it doesn't matter. Follow my directions anyhow. And I said, I can't, sir. And he said, why? I said, sir, because I'm educable, mentally retarded. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. So now this man changed how I saw myself. When I saw myself as the dumb twin, and that was the conversation in my head, that was given to me, that's what I believed, I accepted that. So the things that I was up against academically, they began to appear not as difficult as I thought they were, because now he empowered me. Before then, right before then, up to that point, the things that were placed before me, I would stumble, I would slow the class down, because I was convinced that I was dumb. I believed what they said to me. And this guy came along and he changed my perception of myself. Someone said that people don't live life as it is, they live life as they are. And so what we have to do as leaders, I don't care where you are in customer service, managing people, that you have to do during the tough times, you have to bring the best out of you.
2 other questions, and then I'm going to let you have the final words of encouragement to those that are viewing. Why should people come to end your year strong?
Because we have so much more to do, and sometimes you need to have a pit stop, like when they're on a racetrack and they stop to refuel, so you can finish strong, so you can begin to review where you've been. Einstein said that thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. So sometimes we have to pause and rethink our lives and then go into the 4th quarter and finish strong. And so we're going to share with people strategies that will allow them to access parts of themselves that they haven't reached for yet, but also some techniques and strategies that I have learned that will teach them how to create incredible wealth that will take their breath away. They will say, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm doing this. And to develop collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships and get a jump start on 2020, the year of keeping the vision in front of you and manifesting it.
Wonderful. So we're motivating a whole bunch of people today. And if you had 1 minute to talk to people about the value of vision and goals, what would you say to them?
We were created on purpose, for a purpose, with a purpose. And I encourage them to live life with a sense of urgency. We don't know how much time we have. We have an expiration date. And that they are a masterpiece because they're a piece of the master. Commit yourself to do the greater work. And thank God every morning when you get up that we are here and that you were chosen out of 400 million sperm to be an asset to the planet and live a life of no regrets. When people talk about what does it cost, here's what I want you to think about, ladies and gentlemen. He said, control everything, own nothing. You have to ask yourself, what will it cost you if you don't do it? Because the penalty, the liabilities, because of your not knowing how to legally avoid paying taxes like the wealthy do, you're not having the knowledge and the skills that you need to protect your assets that you work so very hard for. And that lack of knowledge, something that Bob Proctor said, he said the primary reason that most people are failing and end up being involved in lawsuits and paying taxes that they shouldn't be paying is because of ignorance. Ignorance. And that's willful ignorance today. When you've got a book and an icon who's an expert and respected and recognized in this space. And here you go and give me this big check. I ain't gonna tell you this check is $50,000, but I got to put my glasses on. Excuse me. And I got to restrain myself right now. I got to go to the bathroom. Hold a minute.
The last what you told me, I said, so how much it cost to be trained by you? And you said 150, 200, whatever you said. And I'm like, for a whole year? He's like, for the whole year. I said, I get to watch Les Brown smile for a whole year? He like, for a whole year. I mean, I get to listen to the best stories in the world for a whole year? He like, for a whole year. I mean, we get to kick it around the world for a whole year?
For a whole year.
For a whole year. And if anybody is hesitating to do business with you for that tip, because it ain't nothing but a tip, if somebody's willing to do, you say, well, people might say, well, Ricky, you rich, you've been rich all your life and all. No, I came from the south side of Chicago, eating mayonnaise sandwiches, still my favorite meal in the world. Mayonnaise sandwiches.
Yeah.
Huh? Still favorite. They say, Ricky, what's your favorite meal in the world? I say, when I was on Hungry's, eating the mayonnaise sandwiches.
Yes.
That's my favorite meal, not the
Yes.
filet mignon they be eating right now.
Yes.
So
we ain't chillins, we call it ruffle steak.
Come on now, you gotta use your imagination, baby.
Yes.
Stay through our window, we watch her, she passes by, but it was just imagination. We can imagine we was eating some good stuff, huh, brother?
Come on
we can
now.
imagine.
Yes. No, he didn't go there. He did not go there. I'm going to say, it's in me, it's coming out. Trust me on this. It's coming. I'm coming for you. Yes. I want to just say, man, your humility, your gift of singing, and your genius of helping people to understand what it takes to protect themselves and to protect their families and allow building generation wealth is not just lip service, but it's life service by the application of the things that they learn from you. And from this book, you know, they say, and there's a theme of a radio station that said, knowledge is power. And I beg to differ. Applied knowledge is power. And you are giving people the step-by-step process. You walk them through it. You hold their hands on how they can apply the knowledge that they learn and what can make a difference for them and their families and generations unborn. How to control everything but own nothing. This is a time that's needed now more than ever. You were born and preserved for such a time as this, and it's my honor to work with you.
Man, it's my pleasure, brother. I really appreciate you. You know, you remind me of the story of Kermit the Frog. Kermit.
Did you say Kermit the Frog?
Kermit the Frog. Yeah, he was outside, and
Okay.
little Johnny looked outside. He saw little Kermit the Frog hopping around. He said, "Man, I want him for a pet." They say, "Now go out there and get him. We're gonna eat some frog soup tonight." So Johnny said, "I really don't want to do that to him." His daddy said, "Boy, you go do what I tell you to do." So Johnny ran outside, hopped around, finally caught up with Kermit, brought him inside, and put him into a pot. Well, Kermit, naturally can jump out the pot.
Yes.
But he don't jump because they don't turn the heat up on him too quick. They just turn it up gradually, a little bit at a time. So Kermit started chilling. You know, he's sweating. You know, almost like he's switching to, "You say no, I say yes. Girl, I bet I can make you sweat." He's sweating like Keith in here, but he don't realize it because they turn it up on him a little bit at a time, Brother Les. Next thing you know, Kermit is out, and what they have for dinner, they have frog soup. So what we want to make sure by our combined efforts in helping the world, we want the world to know that if you don't learn how to protect yourself from taxes and don't learn how to protect yourself from lawsuits, that you're going to end up frog soup, and that's what's going to frog soup in your assets and everything that you work so hard for is going to end up in the hands of strangers. And brother, I'm so glad that we're working together and make sure that doesn't happen. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, and as Jesse would say, we're going to keep on hoping and keep on hopping because we got frog soup to let us know that ye shall know the truth. And the soup that you talked about, the truth, will set us free from becoming soup and becoming the soup drinkers. That's the major part.
Yes, sir.
We don't want to be the soup. We want to sip the soup. Can you feel a brother up in here? Up in here. Thank you once again.
Hey, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure, as you would say.
As well as a privilege.
And we want everybody to remember that stellar is as stellar does. Until next time.
I saw an interview with Will Smith a little while ago, and he said, greatness is simple. Here's what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it.
Yes.
When you talk about desire, you talk about hunger, you talk about determination.
Are you willing to lose it all to gain it all?
Willing to just go out there and make it happen.
I believe that since greatness is possible, then being excellent is not enough.
Right.
That anybody through observation and practice can perform at the level of excellence. But when you see a Larry Bird who formerly played for the Boston Celtics, you don't say, boy, when the Bird played, he was an excellent player. We're talking about greatness here. You see a Wayne Gretzky. And I believe that when you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what the limits are. So you act like you don't have any, that you become intelligently ignorant. According to the laws of aerodynamics, as we know, a bumblebee isn't supposed to fly because his body is too large to be held up by the little puny wings. But the bumblebee doesn't know it. And what you will find in multi-level marketing, that you'll see people take quantum leaps in terms of their influence and their income. Why? Because being in a community of achievers, you discover some powers and abilities you have that you don't even realize. That L.C. Robinson was right, that things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that happen that really count are the things that happen in you. And part of being around other achievement-driven people, they'll push you to levels that you could never go by yourself. And that's why it's so very important that we do something that Jim Rohn said, and that is look at your relationships. You're building your organization. You want to develop greatness. The only way you can develop your greatness is you've got to be in a relationship with people that will push you, that will stretch you, that hold you to a higher standard, that will hold you accountable. And you have to look at your relationship, and Jim said, ask the question, what is this relationship doing to me?
Right.
Am I growing mentally and emotionally and spiritually? Is it challenging me? Am I honoring my word as myself? Is this making me begin to look at myself and reflect on myself and raise the bar on myself? Einstein said that thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems this thinking can't solve. And part of developing your greatness is being around people who, as you run, you can run faster with 100 who want to go than with one around your neck. That they will challenge you to step it up to another level.
Right.
You've got this book called You've Got to Be Hungry. Why did it take you so long to finally put this book out? And what should we know about it? I want everyone to get this book.
It's different than any other book that's been out there, because it's one thing if you are in a majority culture and you're part of the majority. I sent a letter to Gunther Ranker, and they sponsored the infomercial for Tony Robbins, and they sent me back a letter saying, we acknowledge, we receive your requests for a partnership to do an infomercial, but you're black. And we don't believe that America's ready for a black speaker. So I sent them back a letter saying, thank you for reminding me that I'm black. I never would have known that if you hadn't told me. Thank you for reminding me. Of rejection, he got the complexion of connections. So I said, I'll see you from the top. But that was a good thing, because it brought something out of me that says, my destiny is not in your hands. I'm going to find a way to win. People that are manifesting their greatness, they find a way to win. They are no matter what people. They're like a Walter P. Price Chrysler. Chrysler fell 49 times in the automobile industry. They find a way to win. I remember when Muhammad Ali was knocked down the first time by Joe Frazier, and Howard Cosell asked him, why did you jump up so quickly? And Muhammad Ali said, I looked around and saw where I was, and he said, a canvas is no place for a champion. He said, and I jumped back up. And so when you have living your life from a place of knowing that there is something in me that I strongly believe there's a dimension about us that very few people reach for. And I think that's the greatness, and that most people become discouraged when their athletic careers have been cut short and they felt that was the only slot for them in life, and they find someplace else that they will show up and say, I'm going to take a stand here. I'm going to make a difference in people's lives. I'm going to let people know that just because things stopped over here does not mean that you don't have something of value and power over here in this area here. And so you reinvented yourself. And so that life will give us all type of stuff to overcome. You take a person's eyesight, then you have a Ray Charles or a Stevie Wonder. So life will always challenge us. I have this quote I love that said, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. And so I think that those of us that have been picked out to be picked on, that the greatness has been recognized in us, and that we, as a result of that, we release what Elizabeth Browning called the imprisoned splendor. We rise to the occasion when others fold, when others buckle and run with their tails between their legs. And it brings something out of you that would not give birth had it not been for that adversity.
Oh, man. Can you just keep talking for the next 5 hours? I can listen to you all day, my man. I appreciate it. I can listen to you all day, Les.
Thank you.
I want people to get this book, and I don't know if there's.
It will teach them how to overcome adversity. I've gone through so much. I'm gonna share this with you. I went through an experience with opiates. The challenging part for me was not going cold turkey to get off it, but my kids. I never forget. I was in the hospital for 9 days and I didn't know it, and I didn't even know how I got there. And so when my son, my second oldest son, Patrick, was driving me to my youngest daughter's house, and I saw these cars. I said, what are these cars doing here? He said, you see when you get inside. So I came in and I saw Mike Williams, Mike, who's been my mentor for 51 years, and my other kids, and two people that I didn't recognize. And I said, okay, is this an intervention? He said, yes. I said, who is it for? He said, for you. Me, I'm the intervention king. No, Dad, you've been in the hospital for 9 days. 9 days? No. And then I said, yes, you're unconscious. Why? We don't know. We were just called and said, you're at University Hospital. And then I went to each one of them. I said, look at me. I taught you not to smoke, not to drink, not to do drugs. Do you think I would misrepresent you as your father and do something so stupid? He said, no, but there are two types of drug addicts, Dad. What are you talking about? There are people who pursue drugs and people who are prescribed drugs. You've been prescribed them and you just cooperated. It's just too many. We want you to live. We don't want you to die like Prince. We want you to live. Man, I went to each one of them. That was the most humiliating experience my whole life. And so my youngest daughter said, Daddy, you teachers, that you can't read the label when you're locked in the box. You need help. And she started crying. You taught us to get help, not because we're weak, but because we want to remain strong. And I want you to do this for us. So I said to this couple, I said, okay, I'm ready to go. They said, no, we'll come tomorrow morning. I said, no. I said, you're gonna have to take me tonight. You come here tomorrow morning, I will not be here. I've never been in any place that I couldn't leave when I want to. You need to do this tonight. So they drove me about 4 hours to Middletown, Ohio, to this drug program. And I stayed there 5 days. People doing double dates. Are you Barry White? No, you can't be Les Brown, the motivator. Yes, I am Les Brown. I know that voice. You gotta be. I've been listening to you for a long time. What are you doing here? My children say that I'm hooked on drugs. So after those double takes for 5 days, I went into the director. I said, listen to me. There are two types of people. Drug addicts. There are ones who prescribe drugs, and there are ones who go seeking drugs. I said, I was prescribed these drugs for pain, for the sciatica pain and pain for cancer. That's eating 40% of my T1 vertebrae in my spine. And this guy said, every junkie's got a story. Man, I grabbed the phone on his desk. I was about to bust him in the head. And this lady who is his administrative assistant, she said, Mr. Brown, please. I've been listening to you since I was a little girl. And she's crying. She said, trouble is easy to get into and hard to get out of. Please don't hit this man with this telephone. Wow. I was about to buzz him in. He called me a junkie. I called my son and said, you better come get me or I'm walking away from here. It was like 12 degrees outside, right? I'm 4 hours from Columbus. And he came, and I was leaving. The director said, he'll be back. I said, I will not. And I went cold turkey. They rushed me to the Cleveland Clinic about 6 different times. And I heard them say on this other side of the curtain, said, you know, if he's in his 30s, he can do it, not in his 60s. And that night, I prayed to Mamie Brown, my adopted mother, and my birth mother. I said, I don't know your name. You gave birth to me. But I need the two of you to get together and help me have the strength to get through this. They want to give me a drug called Suboxone, and it's addictive. First time, shame on them. They prescribed these drugs to me, and I'm addicted. Now they're going to give me a drug that's addictive, and they say it's harder to get off, but at least I just be on one addictive drug. I said, I can't knowingly take something that's addictive. The other ones I didn't know, but this I cannot make myself do it. Man, I passed out. I had these dry heaves. I was taken there 6 different times, unconscious. The night I prayed to both my mothers, I said, I need your help. Please help me, because I'm not going to do this. And then the next morning, Louis, I had no gagging, no dry heaves. The next morning, when I got up, I had an appetite. The next morning, no cold chills and hot flashes. The next morning, I got my strength back, and I knew I was on the other side of it. And I said to them, both of them, thank you so much. Thank you for getting me through this experience. Y'all can rest now, because I ain't gonna be I won't even take an aspirin. When they prescribe something for me in Cancer Centers of America, I ask them, what's in this? Is it addictive? Do you have non-addictive pain medication? We do. Why didn't you prescribe that to me? You really want to know? Yes, I do. The addictive ones are more expensive.
Wow.
Pills pay the bills, Mr. Brown. Pills pay the bills. I'm sorry. I said, I am too, and I'm so glad that I'm not the young man that I used to be, because I'd have tore this office up with you. Let me tell you something.
Hit you over the head, yeah.
About to make me lose my mind. Up in here, about to make me act a fool up in here. Oh my God. But you know, man, it's all good. Had I not been fired from radio, we would not be having this conversation. Had I not gone through that experience, there are people, and why I wrote her in the book, I said we have 3 lives. We have a public life, we have a private life, and we have a secret life. And I said, I'm going to share something I've never shared before. And I said, if it helps one person to know that it's possible that they can get off those drugs, then it's worth it to me to risk my credibility and my reputation and share that with them. Because they're going to say, if Les Brown can do it, I can do it. at 75, he's a tough cookie. And they're right.
You are, man. I appreciate you, Les. I miss you, man. I hope to get to hug you soon.
Yes.
I appreciate your energy, your presence, your storytelling as always. I really acknowledge you for the incredible gift you are. I know both your mothers would be incredibly proud of you for how you continue to show up, how you face adversity and inspire people like myself and anyone that turns on your voice and reads your words and is a witness to your example. You're an incredible gift to this world, Les. I appreciate you.